Hello, Kevin here with Cruise Speed. Today I'm just going to make a short little video going over the ECU and wiring harness setup I have for my 4G63 Conquest. I have an AEM EMS4 ECU. Those are usually used for running a 4-cylinder engine, and I purchased a 96-inch fully terminated harness that goes with that ECU. I'm just going to kind of work my way around the car and show you what connections I made, and just kind of give you a brief overview of everything. So to begin things, we'll go inside the car and look at the ECU side first. So here's the brains of the operation. This is the AEM EMS4 for controlling a 4-cylinder motor with the 96-inch flying lead harness, the fully terminated one. The fully terminated one comes with the relay for powering everything on the harness, and then it also comes fused. It has a little fuse block for everything, so it's really nice, kind of tidy package that you get with this. So it's really simple. The only thing I needed from the Conquest was the ignition signal, and that's the blue wire right there. I ditched everything else on that plug that I didn't need any longer, so that really cleans that up there. Here's where it comes down to. The red wire goes to the ECU to trigger that relay to start telling everything to fire. The brown one goes out into a fuel pump relay that I have in the trunk. And then this pink wire is the GPIO that fires the fuel pump relay. So you can control with the ECU how long you can prime the pump and what conditions it needs to run. So I routed this harness through my dashboard. Goes up and through and around by the steering column, and there's a hole in the firewall that it comes out of. The stock routing, it would have been too short, so that's why I routed it the way I did. This green wiring harness is actually for the wiper motors. So that harness that goes across the firewall in the Conquest, it's kind of would have been unsightly, I think, and that really cleans the engine bay up. So I extended that harness. I pulled it back up behind the steering wheel and just kind of extended the harness for that and got rid of the stuff I didn't need. Other things on this, there's a USB. I got that run a little bit longer so I can program. And then it's got the CAN bus outputs as well, so that's really nice because they give you two of them, and one goes to my CD5 dash and the other one's just a spare for whatever else I want to do with it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the setup. I'll show you where it comes out the firewall. Alright, so here's where the ECU harness pops out of the firewall. This hole was already there. It was actually the hole used for the wiper motor wiring harness, and there were some other things on it too that I wasn't using any longer, like the brake level sensor and the ABS module. Right here's where that extended harness pokes through. That goes right to the wiper motor. So instead of having a wire across this whole firewall, it's just a couple wires. So the nice thing about having the engine harness come out on this side is that almost all of the sensors are on this side of the engine. So one thing I tried doing too when I planned out this harness and putting things together is I tried to future-proof it. So I got rid of a lot of Mitsubishi stuff. The only thing I have left is a cam angle sensor and the TPS. So I guess I'll start off over here. The cam angle sensor, I actually put a Nissan 24:1 disc in it. I guess it gives it better resolution, so for starting it syncs up quicker. Back here, this is where the water temp sensor is. It's in that thermostat housing that I built in the other video. So the fuel injectors, those are Fuel Injector Clinic 750s. They're high impedance injectors. With this ECU, it can only run high impedance injectors. If you have low impedance, you'll need to purchase a driver for those. So I didn't want to have to do that, so I picked out high impedance ones. Over here is the map sensor that disconnects there. On this little elbow here is your air intake temp sensor as well. I also got rid of the DSM coil setup. I went with the AEM smart coils. They're individually driven. One thing I had to figure out with these is the plug-ins on these are actually HEIs, but I wanted to get to the DSM ones, so what I did is I bought a V8 spark plug wire kit and then just disassembled this boot here. I was able to pull back this rubber boot and uncrimp the end and put my new wire on there. So that's what I did there. Other things, I'm using the 1G alternator. You can barely see it, it's kind of a rat's nest of stuff down there. But the nice thing about that is the Conquest alternator plug goes right to it, so that wasn't an issue. I did have to extend the wiring harness for that a little bit, but it was no big deal. Again, I have the idle air control from a Ford. The DSM one's been eliminated. From what I've heard, or what I read on the forum for AEM, is that the EMS4 can't run the DSM idle air control valve. So, because I think it's like a stepper motor or something. Don't quote me on that, but... So yeah, other things, I did relocate the battery. So, down here is just my positive lug, where everything gets powered from. Here is the relays for the radiator fans. Those are ran off the GPIO outputs of the ECU. So I can program these tell them what temperature to click on and off at. I'm running two 11-inch spools up front. The only couple things over here that need to be ran across the radiator core support was just these couple wires here. And that was for the AEM oil pressure sensor that I have on the oil filter housing and the boost controller. So, all in all, one other thing I kind of forgot to mention is the wideband. That's just wired in there and obviously on the dump tube, but that's wired up inside. That's one thing I forgot to mention inside. That just gets wired directly to an input on the ECU. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It does run, so that's pretty awesome. I must have done everything correctly. I tested everything already, and everything's getting proper signal. The next step is I've talked to a local tuner to get this thing tuned. It does run. I got it running pretty decent, but I don't want to blow this thing up. I don't really know what I'm doing as far as tuning, so I'm not going to skimp in that area. So yeah, with that, you guys take care, have a good one, stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.